Hey guys, it's Kelly. So I did a thing. So my hair is significantly shorter, about somewhere between 10 and 14 inches shorter. And I had blonde put on the ends, and my roots stayed my natural color. I just decided on Monday that I wanted to change it, and my appointment was last night, which was Wednesday. It took 3 hours, but I really, really like it, and in about a month and a half to 2 months, I'm going to go back and have the blonde lightened a little bit more. Actually, hopefully a lot more. But yeah, so I did a thing. I posted a picture of it on Instagram last night, so some of you have seen it. And I texted y'all a photo of it, those of us that text regularly. So thank y'all for y'all's kind words, those of you who have already commented that you like it. I love it. It's still kind of weird though, like not having hair to like continue to straighten, but I do really like it. It has been 2.5 years since I've had short hair, so very much a change. So for today, last video was incredibly long, but I really wanted to answer everyone's questions and re-show what was in the giveaway, and so I apologize. I know it was incredibly long, so thank you to those who stuck it out till the end. Greatly appreciated. But I thought it would be really fun to do a tag today. It's been a long time since I've done a tag. So this one is called Confessions of a Cross Stitcher tag, and it was originally posted by Vintage Chic Stitcher. According to what I'm looking at, I will put the information down in the description box below. But let's get to it. Alright, number 1, just cross stitch or specialty stitches too? And I've never really understood the question of specialty stitches, unless that means like backstitch and French knots and things like that. I'll do backstitch, obviously, but I tend to stay away from pieces that take a lot of backstitch, like a lot of it. But it just depends, and but I prefer just mostly cross stitches. Number 2, whole stitches or only, or half and quarter stitches too. I've had a few Clouds Factory pieces that have quarter stitches, and I really, really effing hate them. Like, I hate them. I'll do them because, you know, it's usually in an SAL, and I don't know until, like, forever down in the year that they're even going to be there. But I do not like them. Quarters or half stitches aren't that bad. To me, depending on how the half stitch they want it, it's kind of like it's kind of like back stitching, but not, I don't know. Half doesn't really bother me. I do not like quarter ones, especially like double color. Or like I've had a triple color one before. I don't like that one. Number 3, French knots or beads in their place. I have never done beads, actually, and I can't do French knots. I think I've talked about this before. I am working on the giant Harry Potter, and anytime I get to one of the French knots, which there's only like 5 or 6, I think, in the entire pattern, I take it to Embroidery Bee, and I have Susie do them for me. My mom was great at French knots. She tried teaching me so many times. I can't do them. I will try it 100 times and I'll maybe get 1, and that's not enough of a ratio for me. So, I tend to do pieces that don't have them. I've done other Clouds Factory where, like last year's postcards, they're supposed to be a French knot to dot all of the I's. I did not do French knots. I just kind of did like a little tiny, like I made it, there's something there, but it's definitely not a French knot. But I just kind of like make a little circle in the fabric. Number 4, backstitch, nemesis or friend. I wouldn't exactly call it a nemesis, but it's also not exactly a friend. I will do it. I do tend to steer away from pieces that have a lot of backstitch, but depending on the pattern, I might consider doing one with a lot of it. It just really depends. Number 5, washed or unwashed. I did say in my last video, I never wash a project. I think in my entire life I've washed one, and that's because like something got on it or something and it looked rather dingy. But even then I had no clue what I was doing back then, and so I don't do it. I'm just like really careful with my projects, and my hands are always clean whenever I'm working on them, and I put them away in Ziplocs. So I just don't do it. Number 6, iron or what's an iron. I've never had the luxury of not ironing a pattern before trying to frame it or do anything with it, because there's always hoop rings. Like, why wouldn't you iron it? That makes no sense to me. 7 is professionally frames or do it yourself. I've done all of mine myself. When the giant Harry Potter is done, that will definitely have to be a professional frame, because it's 1 foot by 3 foot. I mean, that's not exactly like something you can just walk into Hobby Lobby or Michael's and find, and I don't want to have a whole bunch of like blank negative space, so that one will definitely be professionally framed, but majority of mine, I try to frame them myself. 8, framed FFOs or fully finished objects or other finishes. If other finishes, please share what you have done. I've only ever framed things. I've received a cross stitch like on a pillow, but I did not do that. I've only ever framed them. Stickler for the pattern or creative muse. I used to be a stickler for the pattern, and to a degree, I am still a stickler for the pattern. Like last year in Frosted Pumpkins, Passport, a lot of people like changed a lot of it. People added like their kids like in a wagon, or changed a lot of things to be Doctor Who. I took some creative liberty in mine. I added a flag for each country in each block. And I'll like change the color of something here or there if I like a different color better. But as far as like really super changing it like completely, I haven't gotten to that phase of it, but definitely changing colors and some like more minor changes like that, I definitely do. Yeah. Organized stitcher or ruler of chaos. Well, you've seen my videos and you've seen how like OCD I am about my organization of just my supplies and my kits. So I'm definitely an organized stitcher. You've seen my planner video, so I write everything down. I try to have, I have like my bin for what I'm going to work on that month and everything. So definitely organized as far as that goes. 11, planned or spontaneous. This is really funny because my months are planned through October at this point. But, I've already, from what I said I was going to do in February, I've already changed it because I started a different SAL from whenever I filmed my February plans video. So, some of it's spontaneous and some of it's not necessarily spontaneous to me, but it might be to y'all whenever I record a video and I was supposed to work on XYZ and I show you ABC, you know what I mean? So I don't consider all of it spontaneous. Some days I really just don't feel like working on something anymore if I've already been working on it for like 2 to 3 days, and I'll pull a different pattern early or something like that. So it just depends, but there's less of that than the planned. Process stitcher or project driven. I would have to say neither. I've taken a really hard look at how many whips I have right now, and if I don't finish anything this year, which I will finish some stuff this year, but if I weren't to finish anything this year, I'd have 52 whips starting in 2018. So I'm clearly not super project driven. I bounce around too much because of my OCD, but I'm not exactly a process stitcher either. I kind of make it a game for myself. Like last night, I've been working on the Frosted Pumpkin SAL the last few days, and this block, the Heidi block, has been really fun for me because I've been finishing a color at a time. So if that's like a process, then I guess I'm a process stitcher. But it's just kind of like a fun OCD thing for me. Like I eat certain colors of the M&Ms in a certain order too. So, I mean, for me, that's just a quirk of mine. But I guess it could be considered a process, but it's not necessarily to enjoy the process for process sake, I guess. 13, impulse buyer or thoughtful purchaser. I'm definitely an impulse buyer. If any of y'all have learned anything from me, I just buy like on a whim, but I'm trying to be a lot better at it. So this month, the only stuff that I've bought is the February Charity SAL piece and the Temperature Garden pattern off of Etsy. That's all that I've bought this month. I might have picked up I picked up some fabric to dye for a custom order, but other than that, I haven't purchased anything stitchy. I also don't feel like picking up threads that you need here and there if you run out is necessarily impulse buying because it's something that you need to work on a project. So I'm taking this as like buying patterns or like massive amounts of like fabric or something. So I have not done that yet this month, and I'm trying really good not to. So yeah, I'm trying to be really more mindful about what I want to purchase and to try not to get caught up in the FOMO, because the things that I like rush out and do, I usually don't buy kits for, and it's like things for like the Frosted Pumpkin. Like it's like a digital pattern that they aren't going to take off their website. Like, why do I get FOMO for that? Like it's gonna be there. It's not like one of their bring back patterns, you know? So I'm trying really hard to keep that in mind. So yeah, the second half of this, those were the short and sweet questions, and these are the moment of truth questions. Number 14, if you make a mistake, do you have to frog it out? I'm not gonna lie, depending on my mistake, sometimes if it's not meant to be a blank space, if it's meant to be a blank space, or if like I messed up just like one color and I did a decent amount, I will take out that one color. But if it's supposed to be stitched, and I'll try it, and if it doesn't look good, I'll take it out. But most of the time I can finagle it. I will stitch the appropriate color over the stitches. Like if it's like 1 or 2 stitches, if it's a bunch, I'm not going to do that. I will frog it. But I will stitch over like 1 or 2 stitches to cover it up with the right color. I will do that. I have many a times. But I honestly don't have to frog very often, and usually whenever I have to frog, like I gotta frog. Like I not like a whole like chunk, but like a color, because I like to do colors at a time. It'll be like a section of a certain color or something like that. So, and it depends. Like I always like mess up on like people's like faces for some reason. It's really weird. Have you ever shown your work? If not, would you like to one day? I would like to one day. But I know at some of the shows they open them and look at the backs. And my backs have gotten a lot better, but they're still not very, in my opinion, I don't think I would survive getting them judged, I guess. Who do I stitch for? I have made a couple of presents for family members This last year I made one for my dad and for his girlfriend and for a very special friend of mine, which they have yet to receive it because, well, they haven't been here. So, but mostly I stitch for myself. What I'm going to do with all this stuff, I have no idea. I don't have this much wall space. I love doing it. So maybe eventually one day some of these will be given away, but I don't tend to stitch for many other people that aren't also crafters or stitchers, mainly because they don't appreciate it. So it's kind of like I stitch for me. I used to stitch for craft swaps, but I have not done one of those in since about September, I think, was my last one, possibly October. 17, if you stitch gifts, are they delivered on time or are they fashionably late? Well, I started a pattern by Stitch Rovia called Dream Big, and it's the one that says like Dream Big Little One, and it was meant for my friend who was having a baby, and he's now 3. So, and it's really sad. I have like 2 days of work left on it. I've not touched it in like 3.5 years. But now one of my really good friends is having a baby. So my attempt is to finish it before that baby is finished and give it to that baby. Other than that, I'm on time. Where is the strangest place you have ever stitched? I feel like at some point in my life I stitched in the bathroom. But I could be wrong. I feel like that would be like the strangest place. I mean, I've stitched on a plane. I've stitched in a hotel room. I've stitched in a classroom, at my desk at work, my living room, a kitchen, my bedroom, in my bed. I don't think any of those are like weird. But I think whenever I was little, I might have stitched in the bathroom. I feel like that's a thing that I did, but I'm not for sure on that. Is there any place on earth where you would really like to stitch? Anywhere? That I don't have to be like doing anything, or like papers wouldn't fly and I could like spread my stuff out. So, I mean, really anywhere. I would just like to travel more. I don't necessarily have to be stitching, though, to do that. If I could only stitch on one project monogamously for a year, what would it be? Monogamous. Oh my gosh, it says monogamously. Why? But if I could only stitch on one project for a year, what would it be? And that is incredibly hard. But I guess if I had to choose one out of my whips right now, I would either pick one of my SALs, because at least you get a little something the entire year, or my giant Harry Potter, because I feel like it's going to take me another year to finish it. It's so big. If you could, what is the most amount of whips you've had at once? Right now I have 28, and I think last year my max was like 25. So the number's gone down and then gone back up. So right now I think is my largest, and it's 28, possibly 29. Not really sure. It's right around there though. How old is your oldest active whip? My oldest active whip. In my whip count, I'm not counting the ones from a long time ago that I haven't touched in like 7 or 8 years. I'm talking about like ones that I pull out and I actually work on. But I guess my oldest would have to be the Stitch Rovia You Are My Sunshine and You Make Me Happy When Skies Are Gray. Those would have to be my oldest, I think. Honestly, tell us about your stash. How many charts and kits do you have? Ooh, I haven't. Okay, yeah, I've added quite a bit. I have all the Donut Stitch Disney princess ones. And I have all the little cities except for the newest, Pretty Little Berlin. But I have a video from like 5 months ago where I show my entire collection of whips and kits and everything. And yes, there are some newer patterns to that, but not that many. And I talk about almost everything that I have in that video. But it's a lot, like a ridiculous number, guys. Like I don't even know. It's not countable. Okay, it's not countable. Truth. Which designs or designers do you just not get? I mean, I kind of, for the most part, get everyone's piece if we're talking about like the art of it. But I will say, and I talked about this in the last video where I'm like, kind of, I don't know if I'll ever do a Haid, but I do have like a wish list of them. But a lot of that website, a lot of the Heaven and Earth designs are fairies and like darker things, and I'm not into that. So if that's what that means, then I guess I'm kind of not really into majority of Heaven and Earth designs. I have looked at every single piece that they have, and I occasionally look at like the new releases like every like 2 weeks or so. And I have, I think, like 6 in my wish list out of the entire site. 6. So a lot of it just is not my forte on that site. And it's not that I don't get it. It's just not my forte. I mean, I guess I don't really understand this question. Which designs or designers do you absolutely adore and cannot live without? Obviously, since most of my patterns are from Satsuma Street and Stitchrovia and Frosted Pumpkin, I would have to say those. How many hours a week do you devote to stitching? That's really dependent on what time I get home, but I try to stitch a couple, like at least 2 to 3 hours a day whenever I get home from work. This is why I'm like nocturnal. And on weekends, if I don't have a whole lot to do, I can literally stitch the entire day on and off. So it really just depends on what's going on, but I at least try to get 2 to 3 hours a day. Doesn't always happen, and some days I have all the intentions and I sit here and I try and nothing happens. So, 27, you are on a deserted island and resources are scarce. There are 4 options available to you. Chocolate, coffee, Mr. Darcy, as played by Colin Firth, of course, or stitching. You can only pick 2. Seeing as I've never seen, I feel like it's Pride and Prejudice. Is it? I feel like I might be wrong. Is it? I don't even know. I've never seen that. So I definitely would not pick him, and I have not drank coffee in about 2.5 years. So if I could only pick 2, I would pick stitching and chocolate. But I would rather it be stitching and my cat. So go figure. But from those options, chocolate and stitching. Thank you. 28, does your significant other really know how much you spend on your craft? I don't have a significant other. I am my significant other than my pets, and they don't give a shit. But I'm trying to be more aware for myself of how much I'm spending on my craft, because it just sometimes, if you don't pull in the reins, it gets a bit overboard, and we all do things on impulse. We buy. We click that little yes button all the time. So, anyways, that was the tag. It was really fun. I'll put the info in the box down below. Anyways, a shorter, sweeter video. I hope that you'll have a great rest of your week. And I will see y'all back here very soon. Bye, guys. Thanks for watching.